Hello, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion. Before we get started, let me remind you that we are covered by the No Government License, which allows for the reuse and distribution of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is bipcot.org. This is episode 67, which I think I titled Clapping Alien Booty or something. The Area 51, yeah.
Clap that alien booty.
Clapping alien booty, yeah. I feel weird saying it. Just, yeah.
It's because you're too nice, Jason.
Well, what do they call that when, like, that, like, whole theory of, like, panspermia or some shit? That they say that, like, life was seeded on Earth by, like, asteroids? Like, bacteria was, like, you know, pretty much, brought here by, like, space debris.
Space sperm.
That's literally as possible as the whole alien fucked a monkey theory.
Yeah.
So
Ook means no.
Well, I still subscribe to the whole idea that you know, the Sumerians talked about how they were genetically engineered by as like a slave race. But
Holy Stargate.
entirely
Yeah,
possible. Right. We can go ask the birds.
NSA guy will be like, "Step away."
we can hack the birds. Yeah. The birds
Holy
will come.
shit! That's what we should do. We should hack the birds and fucking like have them dive bomb fucking Area 51 before we fucking
Just code all of the
storm the
cameras
gates.
and bird shit.
Yeah. It'd be like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds and shit.
As all the new Rudo runners are coming at Area 51, we're coming from a halo jump with the birds. Just
Holy
in the
shit! It all
middle-
makes sense.
in
Now,
the
dude.
middle of a big bird swarm.
Hitchcock's
didn't-
fucking Birds movie was really it was a tale about somebody that was a targeted individual by the state.
Wasn't there something like that
What
tried
did-
in World War II, but with bats?
Oh, probably.
That actually worked. The United States had this genius idea that what they were going to do is release thousands of bats from these little clusters. Like they'd take thousands of these little bats and they'd hook up little incendiary bombs to them.
Oh shit.
And like tie them to their legs and then put them in these little canisters and they'd fly over cities in Japan, release them, they'd come down, they'd open up midair, let all the bats out. Well, where are bats going to roost? They're going to roost in the eaves of houses. And what are all the houses in Japan in the 1940s made out of? They're all made out of paper and wood. So then when these things go off,
Just
firestorm.
burn the fucking place down.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Freaking awesome. That is
That's pretty
such a
ingenious.
cool idea.
Yeah.
That's even like better than the sharks with lasers.
Well, didn't the Navy like employ like dolphins and shit to do stuff?
Yes,
like,
we lost like 6 assassin dolphins or something.
Yeah. With
shit was wild, dude.
There's actually an article 3 or 4 weeks ago from fishermen in Finland that were complaining about this sperm whale that was harassing them while they were fishing. And they got a picture of the sperm whale, and I swear to God, he's got a fucking harness on him.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they think that it was like Russian trained to harass the Finnish fishermen.
a
That
Russian
wouldn't surprise me, dude.
a Russian trained attack whale.
That's fantastic.
That's almost more believable than Russian collusion, though.
It is more believable than Russian collusion.
Vasily, release a pack whale.
Silly. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Release the sperm whale.
Release the sperm whale.
Honey, I know you have a breeder fetish, but keep it in your pants.
It's emerging from a long cylindrical object. Comes out of the front of the sub.
Vladimir, Free Willy.
Cold Free Willy. What was the Blackfish? That was the name of that documentary, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Operation
Sounds pretty racist to me.
Blackfish.
Derica's gonna be so mad when she finds out what she missed.
I know, right?
Like, you guys,
Hey, Kevin might know about this. You know,
you guys can see it. There's the picture, and you can see a freaking harness on the sperm whale.
It really is a harness.
That is absolutely a harness on the sperm whale.
What the
amazing.
hell?
That is fantastic.
Did you guys hear about how what was it? I think Russia cut the fucking cable to like the internet in their country because like they had a feeling that there was like they were trying to launch a.
They didn't cut it.
They didn't cut it?
That's the theory that that Russian submarine that caught fire.
Yeah.
Like the theory is that was sent to cut the international internet cable.
Yeah, because somebody was saying that they were trying to like hit them with like a Stuxnet virus.
Well, yeah, the U.S. has admitted to trying to attacking Russia via the internet to take over some of their the power grid or something like that. Like they wanted to knock out.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they were trying to do. And like I think that China and Russia have been like creating their own kind of like isolated internet system within the country, so that it's like, you know, impenetrable from the outside. It's
a mesh network.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. Mm-hmm. Like when you get in like cyber warfare and shit like that, it's like on another level.
There's a book out there actually about that. Give me just a split second here, and I'll actually tell you what it's called.
Like Israel used Stuxnet on Iran and blew up one of their friggin' nuclear reactors.
Oh, fantastic! Because how could that go badly?
Yeah,
no.
Let's just go ahead and blow up a nuclear reactor.
I think that the U.S. recently tried to hack Iran also.
Oh yeah, they always are.
Which is totally an act of war.
It totally is. Sanctions are an act of war, and it's like people don't understand that. They think they're like, oh yeah, hit him with sanctions. Like, dude, that's not going to affect the government. It's going to like affect the average everyday person that's like doesn't fucking hate Americans. Like if you talk to the average Iranian, I bet you they'd be like, no, we just want to fucking get along. Like we don't have any problem with you guys. It's the government.
Well,
it's
never the individuals.
Yeah, don't forget there was the Iranian marathon runner who after Americans were denied the ability to run in the marathon, ran the entire marathon with an American flag like a cape on. Nice. To let solidarity with the Americans who were told no because he thought it was such bullshit. It's never the people who want war.
Yeah, exactly.
June 22nd this year, U.S. launched cyber attack on Iranian missiles and rockets.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
and they got the S-300s from like Russia. I think that what is surface to air missiles or whatever. Like pretty much defensive. Like they're not.
So we are really pushing for World War III here, is what it sounds like.
Totally. Well, if they get in a war with Iran, it's like it's going to drag Iran, China, Russia, because they're kind of allied. And then, it's going to drag everybody else that's on our side into it. And, Israel's going to sit in the background and be like, oh, sweet, you guys can fight my war for me.
Yeah. Why have we been chomping at the bit so bad to go to war against Russia? Because that's where it seems like that's the aim. Is to go to war against Russia.
Yeah, to catch Derica up, we went from clapping alien booty to Halo dropping into Area 51 to hacking birds because, as we know, birds aren't real. To talking about bombs attached to bats. To
how
Russian
long ago did you guys go live? How long was I in the?
We covered a lot.
No, it was like 10 minutes. Like 10 minutes. Like we went from that all the way around tonight, like when talking about hacking Iran now.
Well, I went to the bathroom and then I made myself a drink, but then I spilled Kahlua on my hands, so I had to wash my hands again.
The dude does not abide.
Yeah.
No, so the book that I was talking about, it's by Thomas Ridd and Mark Hecker for Prager Security International. It's called War 2.0, Irregular Warfare in the Information Age. Mm-hmm. It's really, really good, and it goes really in depth into exactly what cyber warfare looks like and what the weapons are. There's also another one.
I have no comment about
Is that like Dennis Prager or like Prager University? Like
Prager Security. It's one of the Zionist. But it's really, really good. It goes really in depth into it and into exactly what the tools that exist currently are. That
we're allowed to know about.
Yeah, if memory serves, I think these guys actually got in trouble for some of the information that was in this book.
Really?
Because they uncovered a whole lot of stuff. They another one that's a lot like it is called Army of None. It's autonomous weapons in the future war.
Holy shit!
And that one's also really good.
That's
a great idea.
Can you imagine? I mean, war is bad enough when it's people dying, but
because
like,
at least people have
literally
a decision.
I mean, they might as well just see who can make the largest flaming pile of cash. Just whichever country can bring as much money to this beach as possible and set it on fire. Whoever sets the most money on fire wins.
Personally, I'm all for rollerball. I think we should go to the rollerball school of settling disputes between nations. You just have one sport that everybody agrees on, and whoever wins, they're the winners.
Yeah, right.
MXC.
You guys remember good
MXC?
You guys
remember just have leaders of countries just like do a cage match to the death? And
no, like you guys remember chess boxing? Like that's what we should bring back.
Yeah.
like chess boxing. Like they would start a game of chess, and they would have like 4 moves, and then they would get up and do a round of boxing, and then have to go back to playing chess, and then do another round of boxing.
That is brilliant.
And it ended when someone got knocked out or they were checkmated.
I feel like every war should just be like a celebrity death match between the 2 leaders of the nation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how this year's libertarian presidential debate is going to be.
Yeah.
That would be
You think it's important enough? You think it's important enough to kill over? Go ahead then. Yourself. Don't fucking make us do it for you.
Well, think about if you look at
Donald Trump got a exception from the draft 4 times.
I think it was even more than that, actually. I know it was at least 4, but I think it might have been like 5 or 6 times that he actually.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I encourage people to dodge the draft.
Oh, I do too.
Even like dodge it, like he bought his way out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. He bought his way out.
Although during the Vietnam War,
you got privilege like that when you got fucking money.
Well, during the
everybody
Vietnam
complained that Clinton dodged the war, and he was in school in Britain.
Because he was a Rhodes Scholar. He was being groomed to be president.
Yeah,
he was in Oxford at the time, I think.
Yeah.
That's I mean, keep in mind there was that college, that university, they called it Flunk Out U during the Vietnam War because you were exempted from the draft if you were enrolled in a bachelor's or higher degree program.
That's why my dad didn't get caught up in the first round of the draft, because he was still he was doing OCS at Oregon State at the time.
Yeah, so you got out.
Drafted, he got commissioned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they had there was, I want to say it was in Southern California. I could be wrong, but they called it Flunk Out U, and it was basically founded just so that they would have a couple of these programs, and they were like leisure studies, so you could get like a bachelor's in leisure studies and get out of the draft.
Van Wilder.
Yeah, that was the only reason that it existed, was just so that people would pay money so that they could get out of the draft, and that was it. Like they didn't actually have classes or courses or actual homework really or anything. It was purely just so you could say you were enrolled in this and get out.
Provides.
Yeah, it was awesome. I actually met a guy who had gone there at a conference a few years ago, and it was hilarious hearing him tell stories about how like their classrooms had like kegs in them and stuff.
No shit.
And, like, they
Nice.
just gave a fuck.
That's awesome.
Jesus. My dad did end up going just for
Parsons College. That was the school, Parsons College. It went bankrupt, obviously.
Yeah, imagine that.
Well, but it served its purpose.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Like it was completely just so you didn't have to go to the draft. So it was like a for-profit university, and purely just for profit. And it was just like, pay us X amount of money, and you don't have to go to the draft, man. So
well, it just proves how like brainwashed society is when they hear that somebody didn't pay their taxes or somebody dodged the draft. Like, oh, those are bad things.
Right.
No.
So.
Yeah, how about we just kind of not perfect segue, but it's a good segue. This is I read this op-ed today. It's from 4 days ago. I read this op-ed today in the Military Times, and I got angry when I read it. And it's entitled "Would Lowering the Age of Recruitment Fix the Military's Recruiting Worries?"
No.
Yeah. At the end of World War II, the Army had over 8 million service members. Today, the Army has fewer than 500 troops, and it's struggling to reach its recruiting goals. Of course, much of the disparity in these numbers can be attributed to the transition from mandatory service to an all-volunteer force, but are a growing military-civilian divide and ineffective recruiting methods also to blame. Today, far less of the younger generation has a connection to military service. In 1955, 40% of those aged 16 to 24 had at least one parent who had served in the military. By 2016, that number has fallen to 15%, according to the Department of Defense. When the United States eliminated the draft in 1973 and transitioned to an all-volunteer force, leaders assumed that a combination of patriotism, stable beliefs, and other factors would keep numbers up. But this hasn't been the case. In recent panel discussion on the crisis, Army Major General Malcolm Frost, the former commander of the Army's initial military training command, proposed that, quote, the next essential threat we have is the inability to man our military.
Well, let me just say this real quick. First of all, they probably have more contact with people that have been in the military and seen actual warfare than most people, because a lot of the people from like our generation and whatnot like went and served in Iraq and Afghanistan and other places and saw how like bullshit it was, and that we weren't actually fighting wars for like anything that served
and
U.S.
these are our
interests, let alone defending
kids.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and you got people that are like going into the military that have to be taught about fucking 9/11. They weren't even alive yet.
We talked about it before. Like, there's an actual class at basic training that shows them video of 9/11, teaches them about 9/11.
I was 9 weeks pregnant with Micah when 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in Spanish class.
And so he'll hit his majority in April.
We're gonna brainwash you guys and like tell you what to believe about what happened on this day. So you'll go fight wars for us that don't even fucking aren't protecting your freedom, actually stealing your freedom, while you're killing people for us.
And we wouldn't want you to be suspicious about the official narrative of that particular story. So we got to make sure that you understand.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Jason, does it say in there whether or not they're going to allow younger children to actually sign up, or is it just that they're going to talk to kids?
This is just an op-ed. It's talking about the press conference that they gave, really.
So the other thing I wanted to say was that like the internet plays a huge fucking role in like, the recruiting deal, because people are way more aware of like what's going on in the world now than like they were back in the day when they like just get fed a line of bullshit like oh yeah for your people in the country and flag and all that great shit, apple pie, baseball, and it's like now people know what the fuck's going on, so it's not like
and these kids grew up with social media. They had access to combat veterans on Twitter and Facebook
and even if they weren't seeking things out, people post stuff, so it's like they're going to come in contact with something somewhere that's going to open their eyes and be like, okay, like I see what's going on here.
We're doing our job, you guys. We're winning.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Well, I think it was like the CIA or the DOJ, or not DOJ, the Department of Defense. One of them said that like we're essentially in an information war, and have been. You know what I mean? Because they're in a war for the minds of the people, like of the country. Because it's like if they can't keep us brainwashed, then it's like we're not subservient little slaves that serve their agenda.
Well, why do you think that Facebook has to crack down so hard on alternative media and all this other stuff? They have to, it's fake news.
Yeah, they're showing their hand big time.
Yeah, they have to crack down on it, because as soon as people like us start disseminating things that don't follow the official state narrative, they have no choice but to try and shut us up. That's why they deplatformed Alex Jones, much of a nutcase as he is. That's why they deplatformed him. That's why they deplatformed the dozen or so other pages that they took down, and yet things like Occupy Democrats and a bunch of those other pages are still up because they'll follow the state narrative. They'll go say exactly.
They're pushing the one angle of propaganda that they want out there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's good and bad propaganda. Like people just think propaganda is just it's bad altogether. It's like there's good forms of propaganda that get people going in the right direction and thinking for themselves. So
I don't like to call that propaganda, though. I call that information. Like propaganda is when it's misinformation, when it's being spun to make it into what it's not. In a sense, to me.
Yeah. Well,
to me, that's where I draw the line.
That's the general consensus on like what the term means. But like I mean, I guess in terms of like information warfare, I guess you would say, it's like sometimes like you don't. It's not misleading people, but you kind of have to like sell it in a certain way, like through like humor or like like certain like symbolism, things like
entertainment
like fucking like Clown World, like how that whole whole thing took off, but it encompasses like everything that's fucking going on and how society's gone pretty much like totally batshit crazy. So
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, they're talking about like
lowering the recruiting age.
Lowering the recruiting age to 15, 16 years old, right? Like these are 15, 16-year-old kids that, according to them, can join the military, but you have to stay on your mom's health insurance until you're 26.
Jason, right? Kids at that age, they are not ready for that.
No, not at all.
We should have free college because kids are getting student loans that are too much that they'll never pay back.
And they're highly influential too. Like, you know what I mean? You can steer a kid in whatever direction you want at that age,
they're
kind of thing. If you
suggestible.
oh yeah, totally.
Well, not always.
Like hormones are at your peak, anger is at your peak, testosterone is starting to really kick in, aggression, all that stuff, and you start waving money in front of these kids. You start telling,
dude, you get pussy for being a soldier too.
Look at all this cool shit you can do. Blah 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 blah.
Well, you want to talk about money though too.
M4?
They also want to increase the enlistment bonus for infantry to $250,000.
That's ridiculous.
$250,000.
I bet they pay ISIS members probably more.
Infantry didn't used to get enlistment bonuses, did they?
No, they've always gotten bonuses because it's combat critical MOS.
Oh, okay.
It's like
so like infantry,
like hazardous work.
Yeah, well, infantry, combat engineers, artillery. There's a few others I think that are counted as combat critical MOS.
So, like, how many young boys are there that age, 15, 16, living with a single mom who's really struggling and they really feel powerless to help? How many of them are going to fucking reach out and grab that $250,000?
A lot of them?
Yeah.
Shit. Now girls can be in infantry. So there's girls that are going to do it too.
Yeah.
But that's what they do. It's like almost an economic draft. That's why they keep certain parts of the country destabilized and fucking impoverished, because that's the recruiting base.
Part of this article actually says, quote, lowering the age of enlistment to 16 could be another alternative. For many of the factors disqualifying older youth from joining, like criminal records, are not present in younger teens. Currently, of the 75% 17 to 24-year-olds that are ineligible to serve, 10% are ineligible due to criminal records, according to the Department of Justice.
It used to be you could enlist to have your criminal record expunged.
Yeah.
Right, or to get out of it, where it was if you were like a delinquent youth in the 50s, either go into the army or go to jail. Like,
according to the DOJ, there are twice as many arrests of 18 to 20-year-olds as there are of the arrests of 15 to 17-year-olds. It's also significantly cheaper to digitally target a younger audience. About 30% cheaper for ages 13 to 16 than ages 17 to 24.
Oh my God.
16-year-olds show a greater prosperity towards military service than 18-year-olds, 23% versus 12.
What are they going to sell it through kids' YouTube?
Probably.
ESPN, right? They have they started showing the video game tournaments. Overwatch, sponsored by the U.S. Army.
Yeah. Jesus. Oh yeah. And if you're gonna do this, I could think of it. You could even, if they join up with that, you could have an early enlistment program where you teach them initially and give them these really cool knives with a special insignia on there. They had like a nice like motto, like "Blood and Honor" or something on the blade.
I have the most amazing idea ever, guys. We just start sponsoring Teletubbies with the U.S. Army. And then that way, when they're infants...
That shit is psychological warfare.
Could you imagine the Teletubbies and their stomach screen is showing like heat from a missile cam?
Well, they've always
it's
aimed
like
that
burning
kind
the
of
Dresden
stuff
or
at
like
kids.
something.
They always
U.S. Armed Forces Bears stare.
There's like Paw Patrol, right? To make kids want to be cops and shit. And, they do this. They've got their propaganda fingers in everything our children consume.
Bob the Builder.
But we've already seen a lot of that. I mean, a lot of that's been around for a long time. I mean, we were watching Andy Griffith, the Andy Griffith show the other day, and there was an episode where Opie gets really into Robin Hood, and to try and listen to 1950s sheriff Andy Griffith trying to justify how the sheriff of Nottingham wasn't necessarily a bad guy and Robin Hood was the bad guy.
Oh God.
And it's.
I love when commies twist that shit when they're like, "Oh yeah, you know, they were redistributing the fucking wealth from the rich back to the poor." And I'm like, "Motherfucker, like they're taking their money back."
Yeah.
They were redistributing.
But I mean,
shit,
that's that attitude though, and like I remember, I laughed so hard at it at the time because I'm like, listen to them try and justify how somehow the law was in the right in Robin Hood.
Yeah, it's so crazy, dude. People were really indoctrinated back then, though, and it was easier to indoctrinate people because it was like there was maybe three TV channels if there were any at all.
Well, and the compulsory education system was still shiny and new for the most part, and you know, and social kind of like.
Well, there was a lot less availability of information also.
There was.
Right. And everyone was still riding that wave of nationalism from World War II. And we beat fascism. And so we're going to adopt fascism.
Plant the victory garden today.
Yeah. What was I going to say? That was like right before the education system kind of transitioned in the 60s, because like before that, they still taught like civics classes and it wasn't social studies yet.
Right.
Social studies.
Yeah, well, Frank Zappa said something about that, and even though it was like a statist comment, he was like, you know, it was like they intentionally taught people social studies in the 60s to get them away from understanding what was in the Constitution.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't even know what a civics class is.
It's about the inner workings of government, like the three branches of government, like the Constitution, like how like everything operates, and like, you know, it's pretty much like, you know,
government 101.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that, you know, could have been actually useful to learn in school.
Which is why I never got exposed to it ever.
Exactly. That's why our generation, they stayed way away from it, was because the last thing they want is trying to actually understand it.
Look how that worked out.
If you did, you'd understand how bad you're
fucked. Hates them.
Right.
And we're not even bringing up the whole how the government treats the veterans.
Oh, that's yeah. I'm sure that they probably see that too.
Not only with the VA, but like how many are homeless?
Oh yeah.
Right. And what's the suicide rate?
Yeah, it's like
suicide rate is 22 a day.
22 a day.
It's fucking sad, dude.
Yeah.
And you see them all the time on the side of the roads, holding their signs. They got they got some BDUs on, or they got a flag, or they're wearing a boonie cap. The government doesn't care about these people.
And not only that, but it's like, would you call that winning a fucking war? I wouldn't.
No.
I'm live. What's going on?
I just came down here. Can I spend the night?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing as, I mean, we have when I was homeless, the majority of people who were homeless, who were in the little homeless camp I was in, were veterans.
Oh yeah, totally. Dude.
Vast majority. I would say 85% of them were combat veterans.
A lot of them have a hard time transitioning back into civilian life too, though, because it's like, you know, you deal with some shit like driving down the road in fucking Baghdad or someplace, and you like have IEDs going off. It's like, you know, when you get back to the States, you're like, you still have that like trauma, so you're like, you see something on the side of the road, and you're like, oh fuck, like.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
You have to train yourself to be willing to not swerve for garbage and roadkill on the side of the road. You have to retrain yourself to be willing to pick up things that you didn't set down. Because that's another really hard lesson that everybody learned, was you don't pick things up that you didn't set down, because they had this really nasty tendency to hide like live hand grenades in stuffed animals and things, leave them on the side of the road and on the sidewalk, so people pick them up and then kaboom.
Yeah, my brother was hurt in 2005 in Fallujah, and he still has nightmares. I mean, that was 13, 14 years ago.
I was watching this thing. This really fucking pissed me off, dude. There was fucking Israeli snipers in some of those areas. They were like picking off fucking U.S. soldiers, posing as Iraqis.
Yeah, you got to keep the wheels on the military-industrial complex rolling.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy, dude. I was like,
Unless-
that's some serious deception right there.
Unless there are dead Americans to parade on TV, nobody's getting pissed off enough to actually want to go to war.
Yep.
You need to have dead Americans to get people to go to war.
Well, just enough dead Americans because they don't show them like they did during the Vietnam War, because then they'd have a backlash on their fucking hands like they'd never seen before. You know what I mean? That's why they cut off fucking showing people the horrors of war from like Vietnam.
Well,
right. So they just give us like a suggestive clip here and there.
Yeah.
Like
look at this flag draped coffin, like
legs and bloody boots. They won't.
Or do you remember when we first went back to Afghanistan? Like my uncle got sent over to Kuwait and everything, and daily there was lists of names of who's died, and that was in the early 2000s.
Right,
but they were still giving us lists.
Even though a lot of people have died in these wars.
There was one killed just like 2 days ago in Afghanistan. Green Beret or something like that.
Usually it's like by security forces too. Like it's like them turning on Americans.
Yeah, blue on blue.
Green, it's you get a lot of blue on blue and green on blue, and that's a lot of it, unfortunately. And it's not fog of war. that isn't the result of fog of war. That is something far worse.
It's not like straight up like people are lining up in a fucking battlefield, like you know who your enemy is.
Yeah.
So, and then after all that, you get home.
But like the Vietnam War, like the death toll, like during a war like Vietnam or like World War II, like there was on a scale that people can't even comprehend now. Like thousands of people have died in these wars, like you know, like probably tens of thousands, but like it was like
millions died in the World War.
Oh yeah, totally. And like Vietnam War, I think it was like over 100,000 people or something, or more than that. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
it was a lot.
They would do the readings at like high school football games of the list of the local Vietnam dead every Friday night. Mm-hmm. Like that's how many people were dying during Vietnam. So I do
love that Dixie.
And they'd use little kids like and send little kids into like camps and shit, like you know, strapped with dynamite or whatever.
Yellow ribbons. Don't forget your yellow ribbons.
Yeah. And remember that when we went into Iraq and Afghanistan, they did that again. Where with the yellow ribbons. I don't think they did it in 01, but I definitely remember that being a thing in 03 when we went into Iraq.
I remember having one on my car.
Yeah, everyone was rocking the yellow ribbons and the American flags.
And the magnetic ones that you put on your car, and it said,
that's what I had.
Support the troops. Yeah.
Yeah, all those wonderful vacuous platitudes.
I still see them every once in a while around town. Cars.
See, I literally did, like, in a sense, like, I didn't want these people going to fucking war because, like, I saw what it did to my dad and, like, you know, the alcoholism that he went through, like, you know, rehab and all that stuff and, like, all the psychological damage and, like, he was a good person, had a fucking good heart. And, like, you know, to see somebody damaged from shit like that you can never, like, you know, erase from your subconscious, it's, like, it's fucked up, man.
So, and then you get back.
Yeah.
And you get your home sold for $236 tax bill.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
They actually like his house was
slap in the fucking face.
Going to be sold. Like his house was actually sold.
Wow.
So
Jesus,
I'd be fucking pissed, dude.
Disabled military veteran Jim Boner, Boner, B-O-E-R-N-E-R. Borner.
Sorry, Jim.
Borner. Whatever.
B-O-E-R.
Jim bought his Buttercup yellow mobile home in Mesa, Arizona 2 years ago, hoping to live affordably into his old age. Borner, 49, was unable to work because of spinal and brain issues he suffered during a training exercise in 1991 in Kessler Air Force Base in Mississippi. On his limited income, Borner kept a cat named Samantha, fixes guitars found at garage sales, and brings flowers to widowed neighbors on Christmas, Easter, and Mother's Day.
Aww.
To save money, Borner said he applied to a Maricopa County program that reduces property taxes for people with disabilities and limited income. He thought he had been accepted. So when a strange knock on his door last month, claiming to have bought his home at auction for $236 in late taxes, Borner said he was floored. Quote, "I said, what are you talking about? This has got to be wrong. Had I known I was in peril of losing my home, I would have paid it in full." Now Borner is fighting to save his home, knowing he could be forced to pack his things any day. Government officials have scrambled to find loopholes but say there may be nothing that it can do. The new owner said he won't negotiate and will begin eviction proceedings soon.
What an asshole.
Yeah, what the fuck?
The new owner, what a fucking asshole.
The new owner, the government, I mean, for taxes, $236 in unpaid taxes.
That's
fucking horseshit. Like, what, you can't set up like a payment program with the fucking guy instead of stealing his goddamn house?
Well, he even said he had the money to pay it in full. He could have easily just paid it had they bothered to properly notify him that he owed it. He didn't.
Oh, so they did that shit like they did that shit like underhanded, fucking sneaky style.
Yeah. Somebody gave him the impression that he was accepted into that program to reduce.
The Maricopa County Assessor's Office handles tax exemptions. Maricopa County. Okay, hold on, my screen just jumped.
Wait, this is in Arizona?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is in Maricopa County. This is the same place that had Sheriff fucking Joe.
Joe Ohio, yep.
Good old Joe.
Fucking Trump pardoned that fucking dude.
Yep.
Yeah,
fucking ridiculous.
The Treasurer's Office collects tax payments and issues delinquency notices. The County Sheriff's Office serves delinquent taxpayers with auction notices and conducts the sales. Quote, I've been getting a brick wall everywhere I turn, Boner said. Treasurer Royce Flora, who has been trying to help, said it's understandable that taxpayers may feel lost. Quote, if we can't figure out how to get through the maze, how is he supposed to?
Right.
The treasurer believes it's outrageous that he faces eviction. If Boner had lived in a single-family home, he might not be on the verge of being kicked out. Single-family homeowners have 5 years to pay back taxes before foreclosure. But because different rules apply to mobile homes, which are considered personal property, they can be auctioned as soon as tax payments are late.
That is absurd.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So they don't have to tell you that you owe the debt, but the moment that you don't pay the debt that you might not know that you owe, they can take your house.
Also, how do they not tell you that your property is going up for auction?
Yeah, for real. How do they not tell you?
Like, I just...
And then the fact that even the county, the county, or like the treasurer is like, oh, I don't even know, man. I don't even know what's going on. I have no idea.
The treasurer's like, I can't figure it out. So,
Jesus.
So I mean, he said the problems began last year when a sheriff's deputy arrived to tell him he was late on his property taxes on his mobile home, and his mobile home could be sold at auction. He said he was confused, and he remembers filling out paperwork in 2017, soon after he bought the home, to apply for property tax exemption, and receiving a postcard confirming his acceptance. After the deputy's visit, he said he sent another application to the assessor's office and received another postcard. He said he called the sheriff's department officer last year and learned that his home was not scheduled for auction. He figured things were cleared up. The tax assessors told the Arizona Republic it does not, it did not confirm the property tax exemptions. So they are searching thoroughly. The office found no record of applying for exemption in 2017 or 2018, although the office keeps all office-related documents, including incomplete and rejected applications.
That sounds like dealing with the VA. You know how many times they lost my fucking paperwork?
Yeah.
Or they send you in like a fucking... They send you in a circle. Go see this doctor. Then this doctor tells you to go see this doctor.
Well, I mean just the disability people at the VA. You know, the Board of Veterans Appeals and stuff, because I had to go in front of them in DC. But
yeah, I was with my dad when he had dealt with them a lot. He'd fucking leave like pissed off pretty much every time.
The sheriff's employee then told Banner he owed $641 in total. Of that, $405 was due last year, the employee said. He made the payment online. He said he only remembered the $405. That's what was paid. It wasn't enough. The home was sold at auction a week later for $4,400.
Yeah, he was told all he needed to pay was $400 and change. So he paid it. So they told him the wrong amount and told him he was accepted to be exempt as it was. And
he was told twice he was exempted.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden somehow lost all of the paperwork, which is why, again, people, this is why you save every piece of mail from the government you get.
Yes.
All of it. Save it. Because if he could produce that easily and be like...
and you send everything that you're sending them certified return receipt requested.
So he
document your shit because they do.
The new owner, the guy that bought it for $4,400, his name is Lester Payne. He purchased the home under a business called Advanced Dynamic Energy Limited. He said that Payne offered to sell it back for him, sell it back to him for $30,000, which is nearly as much as he originally spent on the home in the first place.
Jesus Christ!
What a fucking dick!
Right?
What a dick!
So this is one of those instances where we should probably reference the whole Bundy thing, and like maybe get a whole bunch of armed veterans together to remind that piece of shit.
Yeah, right.
That you can't just pull this bullshit, even if the government tells you can. It's not fucking okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's just
like, how about a little bit of fucking human decency?
Yeah, what would I do if that were me? I'd be like, okay, set up a GoFundMe. I mean, I'd like to get back what I paid for it, because if I'm not going to own it, you know, I'm out $4,400. But set up a GoFundMe. I'll give you all the time you need to raise that. You know,
right,
get your story out there. Yeah. So I just need my investment back.
What this guy needs to do is he really needs to sue someone.
Yeah.
Over the fact that the paperwork was all fucked up and it's not necessarily his fault, and basically get a court to annul the sale and say that it was null and void, that the state never actually had the right to sell it in the first place.
Right, exactly.
And then the state should be forced at that point to return that guy's money.
Oh, I don't give a shit if that guy gets his money back at this point.
Yeah, I don't feel any sympathy for him. I don't. I mean,
I hope he loses it and then dies of rectal cancer slowly and down.
Well, as much as I don't think he deserves it, I think it's still one of those.
There are options. There are options. 1952. Look up the name Elizabeth Stevens. She was a widow who was about to lose her home due to unpaid taxes. The sheriff came out to evict her, and the other people in the area beat up the sheriff.
Fucking A.
Threatened to arrest the
That's
sheriff.
how you do it.
I'm just saying there's options. It's a really
like when what was it, that fucking town in Georgia where they were trying to like fix the election or some shit like that.
And a group of returned veterans took over and occupied the polling place and held everyone hostage that was there over it. That's what the Second Amendment is there for.
I know. That's when America still had fucking balls.
Yeah.
They've been trying to drill that out of us fucking generation after generation.
There you go.
That's the American spirit that unites us.
Civil disobedience.
There's a picture of farmers telling the sheriff to fuck off.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it.
But I mean, like in this instance, especially
there's a deputy on the ground getting punched.
Nice. See, but in this instance, especially,
that's the picture of the sheriff on the ground getting arrested by the farmers.
Yep, and that sign, it doesn't show up very well, but that sign says this property is not available for repossession.
This is exempt property from seizure. This is a widow's homestead.
Right.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, especially in this case, though, this guy was a brother in freaking arms. Step up and do something, brother.
Yeah, well, you never know. Now that it's in the news, that might happen.
Mesa is close to Area 51. Just throwing out.
Just
as long as a million people are going to be there, why don't you guys swing by and make sure that
and do something actually useful with all your fucking energy.
Just saying, like you can
use that alien tech.
You can show up. You can show up like September 17th, right? The 18th you hit Mesa. The 19th you hit Tucson and Free Ross. The 20th you go hit Area 51. Boom.
And then the 21st Boogaloo kicks off.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Assuming anybody's alive after that.
Yeah, the run that I hate to break it to these guys, but you cannot Naruto run. That is not a thing that you are capable of actually doing. And you know, I laugh.
I'm pretty sure there's landmines there too.
There are. There's landmines. There's enough sensors in that section of desert at Groom Lake that if a groundhog nests in that desert, they know that it's there and where it is.
Yep.
You will not get anywhere near Groom Lake. It's not going to happen. They will kill you.
Yeah, they'll kill everybody if they have to.
Yeah. And don't think that they can't, because they can.
Yeah. They can't kill all of us. Have you ever
yes, they
seen
can.
what a 3,900 round per minute 30 millimeter cannon does to a person?
Yeah, exactly.
They
Just
kill all of them.
mowing fuckers down.
977,000 on the
Yeah, it's a lot of
Christ.
people,
Facebook
but
page.
that's
And it will be such
Imagine
a
if it really
tragedy.
happened, though. Like, that would be so insane.
Well, what's funny is I can already picture the news day after going, there was this horrible tragedy out on this area.
Well, the United States Air Force has already threatened everyday going. They've already issued a veiled threat.
The feds said don't fucking try it. Don't don't try it.
They're like, yeah, haha, very funny. But if you try, we're gonna send attack planes and we're gonna kill you all.
Yeah.
Like, that
totally.
was what they said. So, like, I mean, if you want to die in the middle of the desert for absolutely nothing, I guess more power to you. But
some people will see it as not being
my
for
thing.
absolutely nothing, though. Like, they're gonna think of themselves as martyrs, like getting this whole thing kicked off.
That's okay. Like, let's jump to the logic for a second, right? Like, we like the government tells us, the government told us that Fort Knox is full of gold, blah 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 blah. That's where we keep the gold reserves. You all know that Fort Knox is empty, right?
Yeah.
Area 51. That's where they keep the
They were
alien
holding
tech.
a lot of drugs there, actually.
No, Area 51 is not full of alien tech, right?
No.
If everybody believes that Area 51 is full of alien tech, the government would not keep alien tech in Area 51.
Right.
It's a sleight of hand. Like, they let Area 51 be known as the alien tech area, the big scary blah 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 blah.
And meanwhile, there's a grain silo, like an underground grain silo
in Kansas or something,
North Dakota.
And Groom Lake has been used for years and years and years to test spy planes. It's where the SR-71 was developed.
Yeah, SR-71.
Yeah, the F-117A was developed there. There's a bunch of stealth tech gets developed there. That's what gets done. Which means that if you're a whole bunch of people trying to storm it, you are in peril of jeopardizing classified development of military technology. They're
not going to let that happen.
Going to let you run in there?
It's literally a bombing range.
Yeah, you
guys ever heard of
literally you think you're going to go and bust open the alien archives? What you're really storming is a huge fucking military R&D ground. That's not a good idea.
It's linked to 2 Air Force bases on either end. There's Nellis on one end and Andrews on the other.
Yeah.
There are 2 major, like, you're in the largest bombing run area on planet Earth.
Wait, not Andrews. Andrews is over here. Edwards.
Edwards. Sorry, yeah, Edwards. So it's Nellis and Edwards that it's smacking. What do you think is going to happen when you go out there to an area where they're already trained to drop bombs specifically on that area?
Well, and talking from experience, just talking to technicians for the company I work for that happen to do work on Nellis, I mean, you can hear the planes going over constantly. You don't think that they can't divert some of those to go bomb a place? Come on.
They don't even have to divert them.
Yeah.
Like, that's their training ground and stuff.
Yeah, they're already going there. They'll just
exactly. But I'm saying, like, they're already up and running and ready to go. There's no prep time needed.
And given the physical capabilities of the average millennial, they're not running anywhere.
Yeah.
No.
Let alone Naruto running.
Can you imagine a Mad Max style?
Like, they're going to go to Del Taco and then try to run from Del Taco to the Air Force Base.
Can you? No,
like, really?
Picture.
They will make it a quarter of a mile.
Yeah, picture the Mad Max style convoy across the desert with the dust cloud behind it, but it's all shooters. Like,
Jesus,
that'd be epic, man. That'd be fucking amazing. I just want to be there to film it.
Rascaling.
Oh, that whole new level of Lord Humongous at that point.
Well, also, I don't even understand how they think this would work anyway, because the date they have planned is widely known. Guess what's going to be on standby anyway?
Yeah, they'll already have birds in the air waiting for you. They'll already have vehicles waiting for you. And they'll have a nice, convenient outdoor in the middle of the desert sun holding area to put you all in if you survive. So,
yeah, you're gonna pretty much spend life in prison, probably.
Yeah.
If you're caught alive.
Well, life in prison is about what, 2 days out in that sun, tops.
Huh.
It's not in that sun at Groom Lake. It's like 12 and a half hours without water, and you're dead.
Yeah.
Well,
Pretty
right,
much.
but at max 2 days.
Okay, so the average temperature for Las Vegas, which is the nearest major city, for the month of September is 86 degrees.
Right.
So 86 degrees in the desert is it's
not as bad because it's dry heat, but it's still bad.
Well, as
That's
one
the
of my
problem,
technicians
because
have
dry
told
heat-
me,
Yeah.
so is your oven.
Yeah.
dry
It's,
heat
well, the
dehydrates.
UV index is like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, totally.
like,
So-
it's like 12 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna look like bacon in very short order, and this just isn't gonna work. Oh God, you bunch of idiots!
But
Stay
the
home.
date that they chose, that is Kevin's birthday, so I kind of hope they try something.
Oh,
Right?
Kevin would love to watch the live show.
Yes, he would.
Happy birthday!
Yeah. I'll be 43.
Have you guys ever heard of the TR-3B? It's a supposed anti-gravity aircraft.
Uh-uh.
No.
Yeah, it's like supposed to be like classified or whatever, but they use like it's hollow in the middle, and they use like magnetic levitation with they spin like mercury in a fucking like almost like a centrifuge that goes around in a ring.
Huh.
And because of the like magnetic like fucking field that it creates around the vehicle, it can just like hover in the air, like, and still like, you know, like
I
fucking
saw
pretty much
like a science expo, like a small mock-up of something like that, like a video
yeah. Well,
from a science
if you
expo.
Google it, it's on military.com.
Right, and he had the little like flying saucer shaped thing, and he could like tilt it sideways and let go, and it would stay just like that, and he could move it around and like
Yeah,
send
it's
it
great.
in
Yeah,
a
but
circle and
The
stuff.
problem. All right, Slinky just said, which one of y'all said dry heat? You should be kicked in the nuts.
That was Dan. That was
Dan.
Dan.
That was me.
And then we got
bring it queer.
we got Dread Roberts. Dread Roberts said, definitely take care of Brailsford while you're down in Mesa.
Mhm.
Yes.
We got an article on him too. Just we'll bring that up.
Yeah, but this is the gist of it. This is one of those instances where a Bundy style standoff needs to happen and is again completely justified.
Absolutely. Yep. Doesn't mean you have to be violent, but enough of you show up, you know, with arms and ready and just stand there. What can they fucking do?
Mhm.
You know? So that's a good use of they can't take us all.
Yeah, they can't take on all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, technically they still could, but in this instance, they wouldn't. I mean, look at what happened with the Bundy Ranch. They stood down because they had that many weapons pointed at them. There was just no way, and they were in a fatal funnel. I mean, it was beautiful. It was beautifully set up.
It was.
That was going to be a massacre if they'd gone for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's. I mean, and they will back down and get enough people together.
Seeing EJ up on the freeway overpass with the AK between the Jersey barriers. That is, I want to post.
Yep. That's like iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Bundy later also, but he said he mentioned Brailsford. If you guys, Philip Brailsford, that's a name you guys should know. He's the officer that shot Daniel Shaver. Daniel Shaver down there, and
he's the dude that looks like the douchebag, and he's got like tattoos and shit.
That douchebag.
Yep.
Yeah. And he shot the guy that was just trying to pull up his pants in the hallway of the hotel.
Police officer was charged with murder for shooting an unarmed man in a hotel hallway. He was rehired temporarily so he could collect a pension. He killed Daniel Shaver at the La Quinta Hotel in Arizona, 2016. The rehiring allowed him to apply for a disability pension on the basis of a medical retirement and a reversal of his firing by the department after the shooting. He will receive a lifetime pension of around $30,000 a year.
So
He's getting $2,500 a month because he has PTSD from freaking
murdering.
Now he has enough.
In a hotel.
He could live on that if he lives frugally, in the right place. So he never has to work again because he killed somebody with no fucking reason.
Police were called to a hotel in January 2016 following a complaint about a man with a rifle.
Because he murdered a.
Yeah. Police were called to a hotel in January 2016 following a complaint about a man with a rifle in one of the rooms. Mr. Shaver, 26, had been showing a legal pellet gun that he used in his job as pest control to a woman in the room with him. Body camera footage begins with a confrontation between Mr. Brailsford, other officers, and Mr. Shaver and the woman. Mr. Shaver complies with a series of confusing commands from the responding officers, putting his hands up and laying down on the ground. They threaten to kill him multiple times for not complying with their orders. Quote, "If you move, we're going to consider that a threat and we're going to deal with it and you may not survive it," one officer says.
Mr. Brailsford.
Mr. Brailsford
threatened to kill him before killing him.
That's what spawned all the Simon Says memes.
Yeah, Brailsford, who was carrying an AR-15 with the phrase "You're fucked" etched on the it said "You're fucked" on the dust cover.
Right.
Yeah, he was charged for murder, fired from his job, and he was acquitted November 2016 after a 6-week trial and reckless manslaughter.
Jesus.
So yeah, he told his lawyer that he has PTSD stemmed from the shooting incident and the criminal prosecution.
Fucking, you should.
Oh, I murdered someone and then I got in trouble for it.
Yeah, that's nature's punishment.
Yeah.
Deal with it, fucking asshole. Jesus.
I mean, he literally murdered a man who was sobbing openly with his hands in the air. He shot and killed him.
Yep.
And now he gets rehired to get a pension and be taken care of for life because he's so upset over the fact that he murdered someone.
No, that it sounds like it's not even that he's upset that he murdered someone. It's that he's upset that he got in trouble for murdering someone.
I'm sure the PTSD is from the fucking public,
How do you sleep at night, though? You know?
I know.
Like, how can you be that big of a piece of shit and just, like, sleep soundly?
None of the cops that beat Kelly Thomas to death went on disability for PTSD. Just
that's fucking ridiculous. That's just like proves that they're psychopaths, dude.
Yeah, the cop who shot Tamir Rice, he's not on any kind of PTSD disability crap. The
cops that killed Eric Garner.
Yeah, the guy who choked Eric Garner to death, he's not on PTSD or anything. So what makes you so special, you big fucking pussy?
Right.
That tells me he shouldn't have had a fucking badge in the first place.
Yeah, we already knew that, though. None of them should.
That's true.
Yeah, I think the fact that he murdered a crying guy in the hallway for not playing Simon Says.
Like, Ben Stone has a really, really good episode of his podcast about the Barney Fife mentality that most police have. And that, Barney Fife, there's Andy Griffith, which represents the quote-unquote good cops.
Yep.
Right, those are the cops that just want to help people and follow the rules, blah blah blah. And then there's the Barney Fife, which are the egomaniac, the narcissist, the bullies with the badge.
They're like power-driven maniacs.
This was the same. This was a fucking Barney Fife cop.
Oh, you can tell by looking in his eyes. You just tell that dude is like a fucking power trip piece of shit.
He's a punk. He's absolutely
total punk.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the kind of guy that the moment that you don't agree with him in a bar somewhere, he's gonna puff out his chest and get in your face.
And then he get his jaw broken.
Game.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, he's those people actually have a conversation with, and he leads with, "Well, as a police officer, I think, or I believe."
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I got no time for that.
I mean, they're the kind of guys that get recruited young, just like we were just talking about. They get recruited young. And they're taught to use their aggression rather than deal with it and get rid of it. They're taught to use it and escalate it from a young age. Use it as a
tool.
And that's all they know.
Yeah, this is the standing army the founding fathers warned us about.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Fucking posse comitatus.
once again, you got to ask, does he have a wife and has somebody done a wellness check?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure he beats the piss out of her.
I love when you make comments like that, Pumpkin.
Well, I mean, like, I wish you could use red flag laws against cops.
Yeah.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
turn the
these
fucking
Area
tables.
51 guys should do that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, take them
Should
out.
roam the country disarming police officers.
Yeah.
That would do more good.
Well, I mean, they are like most of them are like, if you're mentally unstable, you kill somebody on the fucking job, like any other profession. Like, don't you get like go to jail or get reprimanded or some fucking shit? Like,
that's another thing too, is if you are like, and they talk about that in concealed carry classes and in a lot of stuff for self-defense shooting, we always talk about the fact that you do not want stuff like you're fucked or die or anything like that on your weapon, because the prosecution will use that against you to prove premeditation, that you were
absolutely
looking
as a civilian, if you shoot somebody as a civilian, 99.9999% of the time you're going to end up in pair of handcuffs. It may just be temporary.
Yep.
It may just be temporary, but you're going to end up in fucking handcuffs.
Yeah, even if
and you'll have to prove that you were defending your own life or the life of someone else. Unless, like, well, or that you had a reason to believe that your life was in danger.
Like literally,
shit, even people that fucking shoot home invaders get arrested now.
Self-defense shootings are so common that there's an actual branch of insurance that you can buy if you carry a firearm, and I absolutely freaking recommend it. Called Carry Shield.
What is it?
Called Carry Shield.
Okay.
Yep.
USCCA, I think is what Andrew just said, but yeah. And it will if you carry a gun, you have this insurance, and if you have to use your gun, they will pay. It's like up to $1 million in legal fees.
Oh shit!
To protect you, yeah.
That's
worth
it.
USCCA is nice because not only will they pay legal fees, but they have their own lawyers on staff
and they're probably they're probably
in these cases. Yeah, so they actually will bring in a team. So when you show up, you will have a team of attorneys there to defend you
to protect the insurance company's investment. That's the market. Right. Everybody fucking wins.
Exactly. And that's what you have to have as a regular person defending yourself. That is what you have to have. But a cop who on camera shoots someone who is not a threat with a gun that says you're fucked on it, he gets a pension.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it made him sad. And he was so upset about being turned into a punk in the public eye.
Yeah. But we all know that shiny piece of metal gives you extra rights.
I hope everyone around him in his life for the rest of his life either calls him Squeak or little bitch. Like, just fuck you, Squeak. Yeah, you little bitch. Just
around here, punk is the worst thing you can be.
And that describes him perfectly, though, because you could look at them fucking dude and you could tell he's a total punk.
Yep.
And not a good punk either.
No. What we used to call them, back in the day, little squirrely piece of shit.
Shithead. Yeah, exactly. Little shithead. You want to fucking mash his head into the fucking wall.
Yep.
Transition to something lighter before we all get really angry.
Yeah.
Federal appeals court rules against bikini baristas. All right, I'm not getting less angry.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're not getting less angry over there.
Yeah, that's not helping.
The bikini baristas may have to start wearing more clothes due to a federal appeals court ruling. The government in Everett, located about 30 miles north of Seattle, has complained for years that female employees of local drive-through coffee stands were serving drinks while wearing bikinis and other forms of revealing clothing. The city passed two ordinances in 2017 to address the issue. One ordinance created a dress code for employees of, quote, quick service facilities that required employees to wear at least a tank top and shorts. The other ordinance expanded the city's definition of lewd conduct to include public display of specific parts of the body.
Hey, a bikini could be considered a tank top and shorts.
Exactly.
Absolutely. The owner of One Stand Hillbilly Hotties, I like that name. If I have a bar, I ever have a bar, I'm telling you. All right, the owner of One Stand Hillbilly Hotties and some baristas sued, saying the new ordinance violated the barista's First and 14th Amendments.
Wow.
Yeah.
U.S. Court Judge Marcia Peckman initially ruled in late 2017 in the coffee chain's favor, saying the city ordinances were too vague and arbitrary. The ordinances were suspended while the matter worked its way through the judicial system. The Federal Appeals Court Wednesday, this is a week and a half ago, that the women may have to cover up after all. The new ruling from a 3-judge panel of the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals vacated Peachman's injunction.
Oh, the 9th Circuit.
Courts. Quote, the panel concluded that the vagueness doctrine did not warrant an injunction prohibiting enforcement of the dress code ordinance. The panel concluded that the mode of dress at issue in this case was not sufficiently communicative to merit First Amendment protection. So they literally just said, you don't have a First Amendment because we don't agree that the law violates the First Amendment.
That's circular reasoning.
Yeah.
Well, government, so.
Yeah, but like,
as to the lewd conduct ordinance, the appeals court said it was not vague, but was, quote, ascertainable that a person of ordinary intelligence. The panel was composed of U.S. Circuit Judges Sandra Ilku, Morgan Christian, and U.S. Judge Jennifer Chloe Groves.
Appeal to popularity, then. Oh, well, anybody can see that. Like, everybody would agree.
It's so like, their argument is that they weren't expressing themselves enough. So what, did they have to like completely be topless for First Amendment protection?
Yeah, and scream feminism.
They probably need some kind of like political catchphrase printed on their bikinis.
Or if they write like slut on their chest and lipstick and like, you know, like say they're like radical feminists.
You go topless and you write recall whatever the Everett city manager's name is.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go. First Amendment protection right there.
Yep.
Boom, done.
Or right, hashtag free the nipple on their fucking chest or something.
Yeah. Feminists get away with it all the time.
I am fully in support of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Free the nipple.
Yes.
Hooray for boobies.
Yep.
Well,
You're
I
welcome.
mean, you guys get to show your nipples. There's like no reason that we can't.
I have nice nipples though. So don't even go there.
Hey, I have nice nipples too, damn it. Or I did before I nursed all my kids. I'm not saying I'd ever show anybody mine because, you know, they've got some fucking mileage on them at this point in my life. But
because Erica is a good
fucking mileage.
I'm just saying.
Thank you, Derica, because now I want to see yours. Like, come on.
Well, maybe in the after show. But,
okay.
No, like I spent almost 10 years of my life nursing babies, so I don't care about showing my own.
It was worthwhile, though. You know.
It was.
Kids,
but nobody should get in trouble.
Now.
Nobody should get in trouble for showing it. It's retarded.
Like the line, the panel concluded that the mode of dress at issue in this case was not sufficiently communicative to merit First Amendment protection. Like, I didn't know that there was limits, like the whole like the free speech thing.
Yeah, I feel like
it's a protest against. All I had to say was it was in protest to societal standards. You know, it's counterculture protest or whatever. But
yeah, it's made political. It's usually covered, but like, I don't know. It's fucking weird how it's like a total gray area and shit like that.
Yeah,
but. I think I don't think it's one of those things that should be like not protected because it's like, I don't know, it's self-expression to a certain degree. So
and it's not even like something.
The only thing that like aren't protected with like First Amendment, like, you know, fucking like making someone's life or, you know, causing like you know, shit, you know, chaos to break out, like running into a fucking theater and yelling fire and shit, you know.
Well, yeah, nobody's being threatened by this, and it's not like they were scantily clad enough to cause issues with the coffee that they were making. They could make coffee completely naked, and I find it to be very unlikely that they were going to cause any kind of an issue with the quality of coffee being made. However, I mean,
I've made coffee naked so many times. There's never been a problem with my coffee.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about getting a cube in your coffee. So,
but there is a threat. You misunderstand. There is a threat to the soccer moms. Because their husbands are coming in and seeing what they wish they could have.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all eyeballing the bikini baristas in the morning, and then they have to come home to you, Karen.
These are the kind of women. These are the kind of women who, when their husband cheats, they go after the mistress instead of going after their husband.
Yeah.
I mean,
Karen.
You're blaming the wrong fucking person. It's your fault for staying with this creep, and it's his fault for straying. I mean, Jesus. It's not anybody else's fault.
And if you don't like it, don't use the restaurant. Right? Yeah. Market forces. You can stand out there and protest. That is a protected First Amendment right.
Yeah.
You can stand out there and protest.
Saturn's protected.
Protected, anarcho-protected. Quotes.
Right.
Anarchy quotes, yeah. So, but I mean, you can go out there and protest. That's fine. That's covered under the First Amendment.
Yeah, take your stupid church group out there.
People are entitled to their views. It's just like it's a free market of ideas, essentially.
But the first person who brings force into it, they're the wrong party.
Well, yeah,
that's.
And no, but they literally changed the law to affect this company, to affect this industry. Like they changed the law to expand on their legal definition of lewd.
Yeah.
In order to go after this company. Like,
yep.
That's
gonna have like waves of repercussions, like ripples throughout the rest of society.
Well, yeah, and my question is, where are the anti-Sharia law coming to America, people? Because we're talking about a dress code on women demanding that women cover up more. If you're so worried about the Sharia law stuff, because it's the same kind of hyper-conservatives who are all upset about it, who are the ones who pushed for this. Well, if you're so worried about that crap, then why aren't you worried about the fact that they're already making laws willingly to force people to cover up, to force women to cover up more?
Because they agree with that one. They agree
not only
with
that, I would
my
argue that
subjective Christian morals.
I would argue that if people really object to that kind of thing, it's more of a cultural issue that needs to be solved. If they feel that strongly about it, it's not something that can be dealt with laws. It's like abortion. You know what I mean? That's become societally acceptable to murder your fucking baby. So, you know what I mean? It's that's a cultural issue that needs to be dealt with in terms of raising people to think differently.
If you feel that strongly about something anyone else is doing that isn't hurting someone, if you get that fucking wound up about nonviolent behaviors, your problem is inside you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the law. It's not society. It's not the people you're upset with. Your problem is inside of you. There's something wrong inside your fucking head. Well, that's what you need to deal with.
Remember what Stephen Fry so wonderfully said. He's one of my favorite comedians. I freaking love Stephen Fry. But remember what he said about
being offended?
Yeah, where he's like, it's become quite fashionable now for people to say, "Oh, I'm quite offended by that." Well, so fucking what?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love
that.
Find anything to get mad about.
Yeah. Yeah. Who gives a fuck if you're offended? What is that supposed to mean to me? Is that supposed to
change anything?
Is that supposed to add some layer of responsibility to me for your fucking feelings?
Fuck
off.
Fuck your feelings.
Gosh, did you hear that that Mrs. Johnson down the street, she saw the bikini barista, she was offended, and the next day, leprosy.
Yeah.
But that's a problem with nowadays society, though, is because we're not taught how to deal with stresses and things like that properly. This is something I've been learning about for the last 6 years extensively with my psychologist on what is understanding that somebody else is not responsible for your feelings. You are the only one responsible for your feelings, and you have to take responsibility for that. But that's something that's not taught. We're not taught that anymore.
Well, we're also not taught to deal with issues like rationally. Like, you know what I mean? It's always everybody has to like jump to fucking like the most extreme fucking, you know, thing. It's not like people can just like hash it out with like rational discussion.
Yo, Paulie Gordon's in the house. How you doing, Paulie?
Hey, what's up, Paul?
Paulie.
Yep. Quote: if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize in your mind, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation.
Yep.
Yeah, because you allowed them to control you, essentially.
More motherfuckers need to read Stoicism.
Well, I mean, it kind of boils down to you know, discipline and self-control as well. You know what I mean, in terms of like allowing other people to manipulate you through your emotions.
You know, I'm reading the Enchiridion right now. Everybody should pick up a copy of the Enchiridion.
Buy it online. What do
Epictetus, or how do you say his name?
Philosopher?
Ecclesiastes, or something like that.
Well, it's Epic.
Yeah, it's like Ecclesiastes or
something like that. It starts with Epic.
Epictetus?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a famous like Stoic philosopher in ancient Rome.
Nice.
And
that was actually the guy that just said what I read.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. So the Enchiridion, one of his students, he didn't record any of his own stuff, but his students recorded a lot of what he said. And so the Enchiridion is kind of like a compilation of some of his best, like short pieces of advice on Stoic philosophy.
Nice.
So it's good. And the word Enchiridion just means manual. The manual.
Well, and there's, I mean, like, can you imagine
though.
what a better world we would live in if like Aurelius was somebody that everybody read in like high school, if that was like required reading.
Aristotle,
or like taught Latin, or like, you know, any other shit that they used to teach people.
Yeah,
like
Aristotle.
Yeah,
I mean, like just the Stoic philosophers in general. Like, imagine if that's something that people read regularly and understood, how much better a world we'd probably live in, because then everyone would understand. You are only responsible for what you understand. You're only responsible for how you feel. No one else is responsible for that. You are.
Right. So, adjust your own fucking expectations if you want to be happy in this life.
Right. And
expectation is where it comes down to happiness or misery.
Yeah, and a lot of people aren't capable of self-reflection. Either that or they're just scared of it. So it's like
it's never occurred to them to do it.
Yeah, and they never assess like what's going on internally, like, you know, and how they can like refine themselves to adjust to things or whatever, you know.
Oh yeah, self-reflection is one of those things. Like, if you even like mention to somebody that maybe that's just your hang up and that isn't my problem. You say that to anybody and watch their heads explode nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Because holy crap, how dare you not be concerned with how I feel about what you're saying?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I think that also ties into the lack of communication nowadays, that we don't get taught that either. And I think they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. Because if you can't communicate with somebody else, you certainly can't communicate with yourself.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And knowing yourself is like, you know, a big part of the fucking deal. It's like you can't just go through life like just, I don't know. I don't know how people do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so many NPCs in this world, though.
Yeah, it's crazy.
My favorite NPC meme is the one where the NPC says something, the guy replies, and then it just stares and then gets angry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I love that one because it applies to so many fucking conversations.
Yes, it does.
Oh yeah, totally.
Time.
I don't understand.
It's so like simplistic, but it's like perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just Orange Man bad.
It's elegant in its simplicity.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, speaking of Aurelius, the meditations from Marcus Aurelius I've discovered are completely available for free online. All of the books.
Nice.
So if anybody's curious.
The Ninth Circuit sort of Court of Appeals. They also our buddy Joe Robertson. You guys remember we talked about him before? He's the guy in Montana that dug the 2 ponds on his own property.
Yep.
It was the water that he quote unquote diverted the EPA called it a navigable water.
Yeah, the
navigable
waterway that was like 2 inches deep.
That's for Smurfs.
Yeah, it was like two or three hoses worth or something like that.
Yeah.
So it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court said no, we're not upholding this, and they kicked it back to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the Ninth Circuit Court vacated the late Montana's Clean Water Act conviction.
After he died posthumously.
Yeah, posthumously, yes. Thank you for saying the word for me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Postpartum.
It was postpartum in the pre-show.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the word.
Postpartumly.
Joe to 8 months of prison for allegedly violating the Clean Water Act. The Ninth Circuit vacated Joe's criminal conviction after a Supreme Court order in April of this year was granted, vacated, and remanded Mr. Robertson's case. In 2015, the federal government indicted Joe, then in his mid-70s, for 2 counts of violating the Clean Water Act. At the time, Joe lived deep in Montana woods at the edge of the national forest. As with many rural areas in the West, Joe's home had become increasingly prone to destructive, life-threatening wildfires. He and his now widow Claire ran a firefighting support truck business. They helped fight wildfires. They needed the water. In 2013-2014, Joe dug some small ponds in and around the small, unnamed channel near his home to allow multiple water trucks to get in and fill up. The pond slowly filled up, and then the water flowed out of the bottom of one and rejoined the channel. The channel is small, carrying only 2 to 3 garden hoses of flow. It flows downhill a half mile until it meets a creek, which flows a couple of miles to the Boulder River. From there, the Boulder River runs 40 miles until it meets the Jefferson River, which is the river Lewis and Clark ascended in 1805 in their search for navigable water route to the Pacific. Despite being 40 miles away from any river that can actually carry a boat, the federal government claimed Joe was guilty of discharging a pollutant into a, quote, navigable water.
Pollutant? Just dirt. They're talking about dirt.
Just dirt. Yeah. Joe's first trial hung and it ended in a hung jury. The government decided to retry Joe, and unfortunately, his second trial ended in a conviction. In addition to the prison sentence, the court ordered Joe to pay $130,000 of restitution. Joe's punishment resulted from his alleged violation of the vague law that many lawyers and judges struggled to understand. So yeah, he did his 18 months and then appealed the conviction. Joe died in late February or early March. We covered it. I don't remember, but and then in April, the Supreme Court took up the case and kicked it back to the 9th, and then the 9th this past week vacated the conviction, which means that his family gets to keep his land.
Yeah, except because the conviction was vacated, it's important to note that all of the money that they already paid towards that fine, they don't get back.
They don't get back, no.
That's ridiculous. They should absolutely get that back.
It's the government's new way of stealing money.
Yeah.
They should get that back, and then the government should have to pay some fucking restitution.
Yeah.
Which would really mean that the taxpayers would pay restitution.
Attorney's fees, the 18 months in prison.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you can't fucking win, unfortunately.
You can't.
No. And thank goodness for the Pacific Legal Foundation. I don't know if you guys follow what they do, but all that they do is things like this.
Like water rights stuff?
Not water, property rights stuff.
Okay.
It's a non-profit, and they are absolutely fantastic.
Nice.
They are. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
It's a non-profit legal organization that defends the individual liberty and constitutional rights of Americans threatened by government overreach and abuse. That's according to the website. So,
I bet they're fucking busy.
they're so busy out here.
I bet they stay busy.
Yeah. Property rights, free speech and association, economic liberty, equality under the law, and separation of powers.
Nice.
Yeah, and that is pacificlegal.org. Yeah. So,
maybe we should call them about our issue.
Oh, they probably actually enjoy that one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Speaking of that, police agree to pay a woman $750,000 after raiding her house and killing her dog over an unpaid gas bill.
Yeah. Why are the cops raiding a house because of an unpaid bill?
Because it's an excuse to use all those very super special toys they got from the military.
And they actually say that because having the gas and electric shut off at her house, which is a violation of the county's housing code.
It's a code, though. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So St. Louis has agreed to. Yeah, St. Louis has agreed to pay $750,000 to settle a lawsuit filed by a woman whose dog was killed by police during a no-knock SWAT raid over an unpaid gas bill.
They did like a high-risk felony warrant style raid for an unpaid fucking gas bill on an old woman.
Oh, wait, it gets even better. According to the lawsuit filed by Angela Zurich, member of the St. Louis County Police Department's Tactical Response Unit, executed a search warrant on Zurich's home in April 2014 following an anonymous tip that Zurich had gas and electric services shut off to her house, the latter of which is a violation of the county's housing code. During the raid, police arrested Zurich and shot and killed Zurich's dog, a 4-year-old pit bull named Kaya. Police argue that Kaya charged them after they entered the home, giving them no choice but to shoot it. Zurich's complaint says that Kaya made no threatening movements, and the officers shot her immediately upon entering the home.
Maybe they should have done a no-knock raid over a fucking gas bill.
Yeah, maybe they should have.
Well, the thing is like they executed a search warrant. A search for what?
A no-knock raid.
Yeah. But
again,
what were they executing that search warrant for?
A raid implies that there's something to be seized.
Yeah.
What are you going to seize? The electric got cut off. That's the complaint. Are you going to seize their fucking electrical wires for not using them? What the fuck is wrong with you?
They're going to confiscate all of her light bulbs.
Yeah. What the hell?
It gets even better. Police argue that Kaya charged him Zurich's complaint. Zurich's lawsuit says that her infant grandson was in the house at the time of the raid. It also claimed that an officer held a gun to her adult son Isaiah's head, threatening to, quote, put 3 in him if he spoke.
Jesus.
Following the arrest, Zurich's home, already under foreclosure, was condemned and the family was forced to move.
Good God.
Quote, Mr. Zurich had really lived this case for 5 years, said Jerry Dobson, one of the attorneys. Quote, I think she was terribly traumatized by what had happened when the SWAT team came in and shot and killed her dog and pointed semi-automatic weapons at her children.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, in the days leading up to the April 2014 raid, police, acting on a tip that the gas and electrical service had been shut off, inspected the outside of Zurich's home, marking it as a, quote, problem property. Zurich later called the county police to try and settle, quote, the problem property designation. According to the lawsuit, Zurich had a testy exchange with one Robert Rink, an officer assigned to the county's problem properties unit, during which she agreed to have code inspectors come look at the inside of her home. However, Zurich said she needed to speak with her husband first so that she could arrange a time when he could be there for the inspection as well. Next day, Rink requested a search warrant for her home. Within a few hours, police were kicking down Zurich's door.
This is like actual state swatting. Like the anonymous tip was probably whoever it was that she pissed off because she didn't respect his authority, and
or it was probably the grandkid's mother trying to get them in trouble so she can get custody.
Yeah, Zurich lawsuit claims that the SWAT raid on the home was completely unnecessary, given that the officer had felt safe inspecting the outside of the home just a few days ago, and that she had voluntarily agreed to open the door to county inspectors, negating the need for anyone to kick it down. Zurich's lawsuit also argues that the minor nature of the violations she was accused of should have forestalled the SWAT raid.
Yeah,
and the idea again, we're talking about a high risk felony warrant type raid. This is the kind of thing that they do on people who are suspected
drug dealers.
Of being drug kingpins and weapons smugglers and things. That's what they did to this lady because you don't have electricity. What?
Yeah, this is just, it's so fucking baffling how many people were involved in this that all thought it was a good idea. How is there not at least one person going, you guys, isn't this a little fucking excessive?
Yeah,
Holy
right.
shit.
Well,
Seriously.
and the fact is that they just decided to raid her house because they didn't want to wait for her husband to set up a time where everybody involved could be there.
Yeah, yet again, it's a respect my authority. That's what it is. It's because she was like, no, I'm not going to just acquiesce to your every demand. Immediately, then they go to extreme violence and murdering her dog.
Yep. And threatening to murder her son.
Yeah. I mean, and you want to sit there and tell me that the militarized cops aren't a problem? Like, there are people who still think that the militarized cops aren't a problem. They held her.
It could be argued that they are the biggest problem we face in modern America.
Yeah, they held her son at gunpoint and threatened to execute him for
in front
speaking.
of his infant child.
Yeah, for speaking because her gas and electric bill weren't paid. Show me a justification for that. Show me that that's reasonable.
And then,
God,
how dare
honey.
you be poor?
And then condemned the home.
Yeah.
Oh, God, honey, we're about 5 days late on our bill. Do we need to make sure that we have guns?
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently we need to booby trap everything.
I mean, this is some Big Brother shit. This is serious Big Brother. Like, this. I don't think I've ever read anything in like a
fucking scary,
dystopian
dude.
novel that wasn't almost just like this. I mean, like, this is like from a dystopian fucking novel.
Well, like we were
really
talking about
is.
the show with Fahrenheit 451. That's what this is out of, is Fahrenheit 451.
Well, the firefighters, what they called them, Fahrenheit 451, were much more civil than these assholes.
Well, yeah, it's true. They were even more civil. Although they did burn that person to death with a flamethrower, so.
Right, that's true.
But,
at least they didn't kill anybody's dog.
but they at least left the dogs alone. God.
Yeah, right.
Hey, and let's be honest, if this police department had flamethrowers, it probably would have been the same.
Oh, yeah. You can bet your fucking ass they would have.
Yeah. What they called firemen. They weren't called firefighters. They were called firemen.
Yeah, firemen.
Yeah. Yep.
Because they started fires instead of putting
them out. Yeah.
What Ray Bradbury had this one quote that he said, "You don't have to burn books to destroy a culture. All you have to do is just get people to stop reading."
Yep.
It's fucking true.
It is.
It's like what Andrew was saying earlier. If like people read fucking Aurelius and like other shit, like, you know what I mean, it'd be a totally different culture.
People read my book.
Yeah, if
Nick
people
Irwin
read
and I were talking about that.
We'd be in better shape.
If
Most
people
don't
read
read a
Erica's book.
Yeah, that's what Nick and I were talking about on the Dank Pod Stash earlier.
No, but seriously, like, people should read your fucking book.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think so. That's why I wrote it. So.
And not just because, like, you know, you're trying to promote yourself, but like legit, like if they want to think critically, like it would fucking help big time.
And honestly, it's like the most condensed I could make it. Like it's the most simplified.
It's like meat and potatoes version.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the Cliff's Notes.
Yep.
Honestly, of logical and critical thinking. Doesn't get much easier.
Like once you get down that rabbit hole, you can extrapolate on it all you want.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why I wrote it, though.
But I mean,
I wanted my kids to know.
The reason nobody questioned it, though, is again back to the whole police fighting for getting the right to hire people that were low IQs.
An earlier article says that 12:41 p.m. Zorik was home with several family members and her pit bull Kia when the St. Louis County Tactical Response Unit burst through the front door without knocking. The unit had at least 5 officers with M4 rifles, supported by at least 8 uniformed officers.
And you know what? For every one person who ends up in the news having stood up in any small way to these fucking tyrants, there are hundreds more who just let themselves get bullied every day.
The officers entered so quickly, Zorik stood alleges, that Kia didn't even have time to bark. A tactical officer fired 3 shots into the dog, and the dog's, quote, bladder and bowels were released, and she fell to the floor. The dog was laying on the floor in her own waste and blood, struggling to breathe. She had a gaping hole in her chest.
Wow.
Fuck that. I'd want to kill somebody. I would if that happened to one of my dogs.
Zorik was taken into custody and given a bunch of citations from the county's housing inspector over the condition of her home. She says when she got home, she found her beds overturned, closets searched, and stuff from shelves thrown on the floor. The county condemned the home.
So they busted in and they messed it up, and then they condemned it because of how badly they messed it up.
Yep, exactly.
Ridiculous, dude.
Jesus Christ.
They should all be fucking rotting in jail.
Yeah.
Or worse.
They should be dangling at the end of ropes.
Yeah, well,
I was just gonna say, just rotting sounds like a good plan.
Tell me that isn't some fucking Gestapo Nazi shit.
Oh, it totally is. Yeah.
I don't even know if they were that brutal.
This is like mafia shit. Like you come in and you mess them up because they didn't pay their fucking protection fees.
Yeah. That's basically what this is. It's a lovely home you have here. It'd be terrible if somebody were to destroy it and kill your dog.
Yeah.
That's all about. This is the electric and the gas mafia.
Fuck it up.
Electric and the gas mafia. She didn't pay her protection money to get the gas, so they send in the cops to take her out. That's what
and these utility companies, they're so far in bed with government that it's not even funny. Like we're putting a solar array on our. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say
PG&E.
Right. Yeah. We're putting a solar array on our property, but our electric company somehow has the right to fine us if we get a system over a certain size. They have a right, somehow, our electric company, private electric company, gets to fine us if our system produces too much electricity.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's absurd. There are other electrical grids that will pay you money if you build enough solar that you can put electricity back into the grid. They will actually pay you.
No. Well, what Dominion does is they give you credits for every kilowatt hour you put back on the grid, but there is a cap to how large your system can be. It's not a cap on how much credit you can build with them.
Yeah.
But there's a cap to like what size of system you can have.
Looks like you got a little bit too much of that independence going on.
Yeah,
here.
Exactly.
Trim that back.
Exactly. Yeah, we can't have people not being dependent on them.
That's what we have here. We have a PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric. Literally, the board of PG&E literally has government officials on it. All right, it is a publicly traded company, but it literally has members of the government on the board.
I think
the campfire.
The Rothschilds are on the board of directors too.
Probably the campfire, which started. We talked about it back in like early November of last year. The campfire ran through Paradise, California, Northern California, right? Ended up killing like 86 people.
Right.
Governor Newsom called them too big to fail, and said that the state would have to bail them out if there is a lawsuit large enough to actually bankrupt PG&E.
Yeah.
And if you actually had a free market with like market forces where it applied, the company like that would not fucking.
If we had a truly free market, literally everybody would be on solar. I absolutely believe.
And housing codes all across the nation require houses to be connected to the electrical grid by law. By law,
new homes here being built have to have solar panels, but they also have to be connected to the grid.
I did know that. Yeah.
Well, and I've mentioned it before, I know, on the show, where here there was an Amish family that built a house that, they're Amish, which means they don't use electricity. They're not allowed by their religion to even have it or running water and in their house. And they built the house without any electrical or plumbing in it. And the county came along and condemned the building immediately because it wasn't connected to the electrical grid. And when they said, well, we have a religious exemption because we don't believe in having it, like it's a religious exemption, the county said, oh, well, yeah, you don't have to turn it on, but it has to be connected to meet code.
There's a story like that out of Florida a couple of years ago, where the county actually fined the lady like $50,000 and threatened to actually condemn her home, and to take her property if she didn't connect to the sewer system.
Yeah, I remember talking about that. Like, how ridiculous. I mean, everybody talked about the ACA like it was the first time the government had ever required people to buy something, but it's not. It's not even close.
Nope.
Yeah, car insurance, homeowner.
Yeah.
You'll have homeowners insurance. You have electricity, running water, gas. There's a million things that you're required to buy.
Unemployment tax, disability tax, Social Security,
Medicare,
homeowners insurance. Yeah. All right. Perfect. I mean, it's not a perfect segue. It's another good segue. Cliven Bundy, Oregon rancher at center of armed occupation, said failed supporters in flagging states' rights movement. Okay, so the article gives him a little bit of it kind of goes after him a little bit, but like he makes a really, really good point in this article. I'm just going to read the article. It says there wasn't a big crowd for Cliven Bundy to rally to his cause Saturday in Nipoli, where he eliminated what he described as softening as a softening states' right movement in the American West. Quote, what's wrong is we forgot the Constitution again. He just told more than a dozen members of the conservative Independent American Party, which held its annual convention at Yob High School. Bundy said even the most strident critics of federal land management have become complacent in what he called government overreach. To buttress his point, he asked the crowd how they felt about President Donald Trump's pardon last year of ranchers Dwight and Stephen Hammond. In 2016, Bundy's son Ammon and dozens of others occupied the Mauer Wildlife Refuge Center near the Hammond Ranch in southeastern Oregon to protest the Hammonds' 5-year prison sentence for setting fires on public lands. Okay, what had happened is there was a wildfire. The Hammonds set a backfire, and it actually crossed the fence and burnt like an acre, like 1 acre of technical public land.
Right.
And they called the state hit them up for terrorism charges.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. So during the armed occupation, which lasted for more than a month, Ammon Bundy was arrested, and then rancher Robert Lavoy Finicum was shot to death by Oregon State Police. Quote, were you happy when the Hammonds were pardoned and released from jail? How many of you were happy about that? Cliven Bundy asked the convention audience on Saturday. Hands shot up. Now, quote, now we want to know how many was happy that the Bureau of Land Management granted the Hammonds their grazing permit, he asked, referring to Trump's administration's renewal this year of the Hammonds grazing permits, which was previously rejected because of the criminal history.
Got kicked off somehow.
Yeah, you went silent. Here, so I'll back up. What we're talking about is Cliven Bundy's at was at like a little rally, and he was asking about how people were happy, or that the Hammonds were pardoned by Trump. The Hammonds were the ranchers in Oregon that sparked the wildlife refuge occupation, and a bunch of hands shot up. And then he says, quote, now I want to know how many was happy that the Bureau of Land Management granted the Hammonds their grazing permit. He asked, referring to Trump's administration's renewal this year of the Hammonds grazing permits, which previously were rejected because of the Hammonds' criminal history. The group raised their hands again. Yeah, of course, one man shouted. Bundy admonished the cheerful murmurs of the crowd. Quote, the Bundys thought that this was the worst thing, the terrible thing that could have happened for the Hammonds, he told the confused audience. By accepting the grazing permits, Bundy said that the Hammonds concluded that the federal land managers had the right to limit grazing in the first place. Hammond said he wished he had done as he has and refused to pay grazing permits altogether, a tactic that led to the armed standoff near the Bunkerville, Nevada ranch when BLM officers tried to seize his cattle in 2014. He spent 23 months in jail before a federal judge threw out the case last year. So, quote, here the Hammonds have spent most of their life fighting the government. Trump pardons them and brings them home. Hammonds had their property back. They had all their rights. Everything was given to them. And what they do? They go down and sign a contract with the BLM. Who controls their rights now? The federal government controls them.
That's why Trump did it, to take the wind out of their fucking sails.
Yeah, yeah.
After the Hammonds gave legitimacy to the federal government, to the federal land control by accepting the grazing permits, Bundy said they lost their grazing access again. This week, a federal judge blocked the Hammonds' grazing permit while a lawsuit by an environmental group is pending. Quote, why was Lavoie killed? Why did my son spend 700 days in jail? Why have we suffered all these years if we don't have sense enough when we've gotten a clean slate to talk about property rights? You guys are just happy that the Hammonds got their grazing permits right back. Now what? They're under a contract with the federal government. The environmental people are suing the BLM for allowing the Hammonds to graze. And then everyone is praising Trump because the government gave them their license back. Isn't that a hell of a deal?
Yeah. That's pretty much,
so, yeah,
the
Bundy's
pretty much
essentially
Trump's like presidency in a nutshell.
Yeah.
It was like to kind of pacify the fucking right.
Well, the Bundys see that they took 2 steps forward and then the Hammonds took 1 back for them.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I'd be ticked if I were them too.
Well, yeah, and that's what I've been saying about Trump for a while too, is that he's like the greatest psyop against the right imaginable.
He's a peaser. He's an absolute peaser.
Yeah. Because think about
we talked about that when Jason and I were on with what's his name? Shane. We did the one show.
Yeah.
Well, Shane Rather, yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, think about it. If Hillary gets elected in 2016, the right was already chomping at the bit at that point after 8 years of Obama to go to war.
Right.
Oh yeah, totally.
And if Hillary gets elected, that's exactly what happens: is the right goes to war.
Yep.
But
they put in a fucking rhino.
Right,
you know,
but then you get
that'll
Trump,
give them.
Who was a New York Democrat his whole life.
Yeah. A New York Democrat who says just enough of the right things without actually saying really anything of any substance at all, without ever living up to any of the promises he makes. But because, he offends the Dems, then he now placates all of these people who are just chomping at the bit a couple of years ago to go to war. He makes sure
all these
that
people they were all just wishing a motherfucker would. You know, every single one of them. They were just ready to throw down.
The group that I used to run with, since Trump got in office, when Trump got into office, they went from training 3 times a month to training once a month, and now they haven't trained in 6 months.
Jesus.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because as long as Trump's in office, then I'm not, I'm fine. I can deal with whatever the federal government does because it's Trump that's doing it. I mean, look at the way they praised the bump stock ban, the exact same thing that they freaked out about not even 4 years prior when Obama tried it. They celebrated when Trump did the same thing, and all of a sudden it was okay. And they went, I don't use those anyway. They were stupid anyway.
That's not the fucking point.
Now you got boomers talking about how.
Yeah, if you give them anything, dude, like, you know what I mean? That's the whole point.
This is one of my absolute favorite memes that I've ever made. Just a couple of snowflakes. We don't care what the government does as long as our party is in charge, and that's absolutely the way it is.
Yep.
Yeah. As long as the boot on my neck is the one that I chose.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Red. Yeah. I prefer a red boot. I prefer a blue boot. You know.
And then they don't realize like the power that they give to their guy is going to end up in the hands of their fucking opposition eventually.
Oh, that's my biggest beef with partisan politics, really. Like, how do people not fucking see that? I mean, government doesn't surrender power. Any power you give it when your guy's in office, that power still exists when someone you hate is in that office.
I see that all the fucking time when we're talking about the
book doesn't get erased.
The executive orders.
Yep. Oh yeah.
The executive order. Well, Obama did blah blah blah. That doesn't fucking make it right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's the principle.
Think about that too. That that's biting the left in the ass now.
Dan,
because
people don't give a fuck about principles anymore, obviously.
Yeah. The left celebrated whenever Obama. Well, whenever Obama made any rule by fiat, it was okay, and the left was like, "Well, shut up, we're in power now, haha." Well, then, and even at the time, those of us who are anarchists were going, "But he's setting a precedent that's going to get used against you. It's exactly it's there now." And they're like, "Oh no, Yeah, we're in power now. Yeah, it was the same thing because remember, Bush is the one who set up most of that executive action for Obama to do. He set it up. Obama started really doing it, and now Trump's using it, and now both the left and right are showing that their true colors are equally tyrannical, as long as it's their guy that's being the tyrant.
And going back to the bump stock thing, like Obama wanted bump stocks gone, and the ATF, they looked at it twice. They're like, okay, it doesn't make it an automatic weapon. What's Trump do? Trump uses an executive order to tell the ATF to ban bump stocks.
Yep.
Well, not only that, but for the first time in weapons history in the United States, he didn't just grandfather in all the ones that were already there. He demanded confiscation.
Yeah. Let's not
do due process later.
Yeah. Let's not forget that there was a Republican-controlled House, Senate, and a Republican president for 2 years, and not once was the concealed carry reciprocacy bill put up for a vote at all, at any level.
The reciprocity.
He sold out America to Israel like more than any other fucking president I can think of. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like he increasing like foreign aid to them by like billions.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, yeah,
and then like military like cooperation and everything else.
Yeah,
Literally
all this talk about let's worry about America first while I go ahead and dump billions of dollars into a foreign power.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of my biggest beefs is like they have free healthcare and free college and shit. Not that I want that for people, but they have that on our dime.
And we're funding it there.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if you believe in nationalism,
the feds,
should
federal
state
government
really exist if it can't exist under its own fucking
the
power?
federal
That's what I
government.
mean.
The federal government just committed $500 million for job development in southern Mexico.
Jesus.
America first.
What the fuck, dude?
That's funny.
That is rich.
Yeah.
Why do you have to sink money into it? All you have to do is end the fucking war on drugs and watch Mexico turn into the world's largest pharmacy.
Oh yeah.
Back in March, the Mexican government actually asked the United States government to consider decriminalizing drugs, because that's essentially what it would do. It would change everything.
Yeah.
And the U.S. government was like, no.
No, because the U.S. government needs drugs to be illegal. One, because they need the Jabberwocky, and that's what drugs are. That you can thank Ronald fucking Reagan largely for making that the really big Jabberwocky that it is. And,
Well, Nixon started that.
Yeah, but I mean, Reagan and Nancy
Reagan put it on steroids.
Yeah,
right.
they're the ones who just turned that to fucking 11 and made absolutely certain that it was going to be this big, scary monster for everybody.
Love the Spinal Tap reference, by the way.
Yeah. It goes to 11.
Yeah. Yeah, but then now Trump is trying to buy public opinion. Did you see where he said that, if somebody put up a proposal to decriminalize marijuana federally, he would be in favor of supporting.
I wouldn't be surprised
like
if
that.
if he did like help legalize it fucking federally just to like win the next election, because that would like
and he would. He totally
millennials would like fucking totally jump on board for that shit.
Oh, I fully anticipate, again, because I think that Trump is a psyop, and again, presidents are selected, not elected. I fully believe Trump is going to win the next election, because if he doesn't, we're going to be right back in the same boat that we were in 2016.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So they have to keep him in office for all 8 years and boil a frog without a lid on the pot.
Yep.
Yeah, and I always
because otherwise the
thought
right's
that he
going to
would
lose
be-
their shit if like they get a socialist in there.
Yeah, and I always thought that he would be the one who would legalize marijuana.
Not that he's not
ever
a socialist,
since he got
but,
elected.
You know what I mean.
I knew that the marijuana legalization thing was going to be the currency that he purchased the left with.
Oh, I'm sure.
So
yeah,
that would be really nice.
Well, I mean, he wasn't against the LGBT community either, because like that was like kind of his like shoo-in with the left as well. You know what I mean? Some people like turned their back on voting Democrat because of that, because he wasn't like totally like anti-gay and shit. So.
Right.
Well, yeah. Whereas Hillary actually kind of won.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
So it.
Even though I think she's a lesbian, but which is kind of ironic.
That she'd have to be human in that
case. I was just gonna say that's assuming she's human.
Lesbians can eat pussy too, dude. They have the tongue for it.
Lizard.
We know she's not human. She was laying eggs in her fucking drinking water. You guys.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude, that was disgusting.
It was so gross.
Some people suspected that she had Kuru, or has it from like it's a prion disease from fucking eating brains and engaging in cannibalism.
Nasty.
Yeah, people in Papua New Guinea, like that's where they found like that disease from the people engaging in cannibalism and shit.
Ugh.
Yeah, doesn't it? It gives you like some weird rash, and it can give you the shakes and all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah,
it definitely gives you a rash.
It's a it's a neurological disease.
Brain degeneration, which is one of the explanations for why she was so mystified by like the balloons and stuff during the election.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
was because it caused that massive brain degeneration, and so her perception was off from it.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
Yeah.
Like the people that we're dealing with are like sick beyond human comprehension.
I can't wait for this presidential selection because I want my Trump, Biden, Sanders debate memes.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's just
the Three Stooges.
Jason's chomping at the bit for that one.
The Three Stooges. Get your Three Stooges blank now.
It could not get more absurd.
No, it could.
Really
full-blown clown world.
I want to see, if we have that debate, I want to see Jerry Springer or Maury Povich be the moderator in the worst way. Especially Springer. I would love
to see Maury and Springer.
Jerry.
Yeah, because Maury could be like, lie detector determined that's a lie.
Yeah.
Like every time they say something.
Well, and Springer loves to start shit. He loves to be like, oh god, here's a knife. Do something with the knife. Oh no.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the three of them on like Jeopardy?
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I can't wait to see
every once in a while, Joe, what is my best friend Barry?
What is
Can we
it?
put
8-year-old
Palin
girl?
on there too?
Bernie Sanders, what is the money in your wallets?
What is democratic socialism?
Wallet,
yeah, what is democratic socialism?
I don't even know.
Yeah. Has absolutely nothing to do, Bernie, with what we're talking about right now. So I was talking. You need to shut up.
I always come back to MXC. I want to see them fucking.
Yes, dude.
I want to see them decide the election of MXC.
I just got this mental picture of them coming back from commercial.
Guy LaDouche, who was the fucking sports commentator?
Yes, yeah.
I got this mental image just now of like them coming back from commercial and Joe Biden's like smelling Trump's hair and then like jumps over to his podium real quick.
Yeah. But I just have this picture of like Bernie Sanders in his fucking suit and his dress shoes, like falling off one of those big foam mushrooms into that muddy water below. I really fucking want to see that. Like getting hit by the swing arm or whatever and sent fucking flying into the muddy water.
John Bolton will probably be in Israel hanging out with Netanyahu, but his mustache will be attending.
You'll just see it like creep on.
Yeah, I had a post before, like I got my account erased on Facebook, like I don't know, it was like a month ago, about how it was like when John Bolton dies, his fucking mustache is just gonna scurry away and find another host.
Yep, find a new
like Trump's toupee.
Yeah,
Trump's toupee and John Bolton's mustache.
That's the conspiracy, man.
Run away
with
with
aliens are. They're not lizard people. They're hair pieces.
Yes.
They're all hair aliens. They're like tribbles.
Yeah,
like tribbles.
Trump's toupee and Bolton's mustache are gonna run off and have love children together.
Yeah, and then just keep them away from the quanta. That was the quanta tridical or whatever. That was the stuff that the. I'm really let my geek flag fly here.
Jeez.
We're not.
I'm sure Molly would know if I asked her.
Some extreme Star Trek references here.
I'm
Right.
not helping.
Oh no, yeah, she's big time.
I refuse.
It's tribbles. You guys, it's tribbles. Tribbles are taking over the U.S. government.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
the aliens are disguised as hair pieces, and that's actually why they're manipulating us. Is they're just showing up on world leaders.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but like hair pieces.
Seriously.
Oh wow.
My beard
Right?
actually
It sticks
controls
out
me.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Bernie's hair. So Bernie's hair, Trump's hair, Bolton's mustache.
Right.
Yarmulkes.
McCain's tumor.
Ted
McCain's
Cruz's-
humor.
Ted Cruz's pompadour. That he, his little weird
Yeah.
hairdo. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
So funny.
We just migrate from host to host.
Yeah. I
We
wonder
should
where
start like putting this
AOC's is.
conspiracy theory on like forums and shit. and see if it
You
takes
gotta
off.
wonder where AOC's tribble is because her hair looks pretty normal.
There's a reason you don't see her photographed in bikinis. That's all.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She's got a muff like a chick on fucking what is a scary movie? Bats flying out and shit,
Oh god.
busting out the weed whacker.
jeez. Oh man.
I
the
want to laugh
thing
harder.
from AOC's campaign manager about how the new Green Deal has nothing to do with climate change. Like he admitted it has nothing to do with climate change.
Of course not.
No,
it
of course
doesn't.
it didn't.
No, we're
It
just
was
gonna tear
never-
down every house and rebuild them.
But we're all gonna die in
And-
12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get it.
If
We'll
it
get it
doesn't
done
get
under 12
done.
years.
But it was 12 years last year too.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
I'm Super cereal.
Chief of
But it'll
staff for
stimulate the end of the world economy. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chief
we
of
better
staff
do what
for-
she says, or she might take some pictures of her crying again.
the chief of
That's
staff
how
for
it works.
AOC stated that her signature Green New Deal was not really about saving the planet after all. And a report by the Washington Post, I'm not going to try to pronounce this guy's name, revealed that, quote, it wasn't originally a climate change thing at all. What we really think of it is a how do you change the entire economy thing.
So
You
it's
know,
about
shit.
social.
So it's like
Jesus.
exactly like we were calling it when it first got proposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
green,
shit,
green,
Sherlock.
green on the outside, red on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a watermelon. It's just
Yeah.
think of it like a watermelon.
It's a watermelon.
Except less
That's
tasty.
awesome. Yep. Well, I'm not a fan of watermelon anyways. It promises
love it.
more than it delivers.
You're off the island.
Hey, I'm just saying, watermelon doesn't live
Probably,
up to
you
its
probably don't
promises.
like pineapple on pizza either.
Hey, I do.
Sacrilege.
Sometimes.
I was gonna say you better like pineapple, otherwise you and I are not soulmates. I was wrong.
Oh no, I love pineapple. I'm just
Okay.
I do
not always
too. That shit
in
is
the
a
mood
bomb.
for having it on pizza is all.
Watermelon is actually really good for what is it? Like think like blood circulation and like all kinds of
Yeah.
shit.
I was gonna
Hey.
say shooting targets, but
Huh.
Did you guys
Oh.
know?
People like fucking
The guy-
make
the
like
guy
pizza,
from
pizzas
Kentucky
on
Ballistic.
fucking watermelon. Like I've seen
Hey.
that shit and I'm like, I fucking hate you.
But if you guys love pineapple, you should find some way before you die, put it on your bucket list to try Jamaican pineapple because it's totally different
Huh.
than Hawaiian pineapple.
Interesting.
probably all the weed.
It's probably it's easier to bite through. Like it's a little softer. It's not as stringy. It's a little sweeter. It's white. The flesh is white, and
Racist.
Privilege.
and it looks like the core of a Hawaiian pineapple. It doesn't look stringy. You know how the core is like the
Right.
firmer with the holes in it? That's what Jamaican pineapple looks like. And it's white, but it's sweet and it's easy to bite and it's delicious.
Yeah, Colton says just don't put it on pizza.
Yeah, it doesn't belong on pizza though. That's not the right kind of
Absolutely not.
pineapple for pizza.
Yeah, it's got to be
That
the
is-
apple on pizza.
That is raw eating pineapple. And I don't know why Jamaica doesn't export the shit out of it. Because they wouldn't be such a shithole if they did. I
They have to
promise.
keep it to themselves because they're like, trying to export things. It's really hard to do that much math when you're that stoned.
I was gonna say
I-
the
there
munchies,
was
dude.
there was like something that they had where it was like kind of an incentive program where like they'd give you a joint if you like
You're breaking up, Dan.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
No, I said they had this program where they would give people like a joint if they fucking went out and cleaned the beach.
Yeah, I that doesn't surprise me because the garbage utility in Jamaica was on strike for years. Like the first 2 times that we went there, we go every other year. So the first 2 times we went there was just trash piled everywhere. All along the sides of the roads, all along the beaches, fucking everywhere. The island was just a huge dump when we were there.
Sounds like Antioch.
Yeah. So, but I mean,
California.
Jamaica, so many people live in third world conditions there. And they have so much money from tourism, and they could export the shit out of their coffee and their pineapple and be a really wealthy nation.
And what's the deal with that? It's just the people in fucking power?
It's corruption.
Like, yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of those Caribbean islands are like Haiti, all them
Banana
Costa
Republic
Rica.
bullshit.
Yeah, they're all like corrupt as fuck.
Yep.
Well, Puerto Rico's crazy corrupt because they got like the most aid like ever in history, like recently, and the lady that's like the governor of Puerto Rico
had somebody.
She's like a total leftist, and like she's been like embezzling money and shit. Like a whole bunch of people just got arrested for like government corruption down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not surprising.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like millions and millions of dollars that she had embezzled, like where basically all of the aid that went there, not one dime of it actually made it to who it was supposed to help because the government accepted it all.
So fucked up, dude.
I prefer the idea of direct action. That's why I like
That's why I like direct charity.
This company, Segura Solar. So like for every home system that we sell, the company turns around and people from the company physically go to Jamaica and they hook up these huts, or not Jamaica, Haiti. And they hook up, these huts that have never had electricity, and they get them an outlet and a light, and people can get some refrigeration, like on a small scale. And they provide the funding for up to 3 years of power for a household in Haiti. For every system that we install here in the U.S.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You got the job.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks. And so they have a team that actually physically goes there and does this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, because Haiti is the most impoverished nation in the Western Hemisphere.
Dude. Yeah. Well, Hillary Clinton gave her fucking like brother like mining rights to some gold mine there. Like she totally fucking like the Clintons stole billions of dollars in aid.
Oh yeah.
Like all kinds of shit, because the Clinton Foundation was put in charge of the whole aid thing that like went to Haiti after the earthquake. Yeah, and, like Haitians fucking hate them. Yeah. Like if you talk to a Haitian, they're like, I fucking hate those people.
Yeah, pretty much nothing was done in Haiti.
No, not at all. I think like a soccer stadium was
built.
There was
a bunch of girls that disappeared.
Oh yeah, well, that too.
Yeah, that too.
The chick that was bringing girls from Haiti into Costa Rica that got caught, that was like, had connections with Hillary, ended up affiliated with the Amber Alert system.
Right, like the Christian missionary group or whatever that was a front for this trafficking.
Yeah. And it's like that ties into like the whole Epstein thing and like that.
I would say Epstein's Island isn't going to populate itself, people.
Yeah,
somebody's got to do it.
Well, did you hear that the Acosta guy that Weapon?
I said, and plane rides are really boring apparently because Epstein had a lot of travel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, couldn't even wait 7 hours
flight logs
to get
for that
from New
shit
York.
Is like, yeah, I mean, the flight logs on those fucking planes are like who's who list. You know what I mean? It's fucking kind of crazy.
Speaking of the Clintons, Bill's on there 26 times.
So is Hillary.
Yeah.
I've heard Trump's on there too, but I mean, like the whole thing is that the Acosta guy that had to resign as the labor secretary or whatever recently because he was involved with the investigation and the prosecution of Epstein's case down in Florida before he became the labor secretary under Trump, and under pressure he resigned like just the other day. But they asked him a question about Epstein being an intelligence asset.
Yeah.
And he was like, I can't comment on that. So I'm thinking he's like Epstein's like Mossad or something, and he was like running a honeypot operation, and like getting all these elites to like get blackmail on all these people, so they were controllable for and subservient for the agenda.
And Acosta's like the prosecutor that gave Epstein a sweet fucking deal.
Yeah, Epstein
Well,
was
the whole thing with that,
with the former Israeli prime minister.
yeah, Barack, yeah, and that was the guy that he went on BBC the day of 9/11 and said we need a war on terror. But the whole Acosta thing, not trying to like say that he was like innocent in the whole deal, but I guess there was like serious like pressure put on him.
Well, of course.
You know what I mean? To grant him that like sweetheart deal.
That's what they do. I mean, like
his life was probably
coercion.
threatened.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if he's an intelligence asset, they were probably like, "We'll fucking kill you if you don't give him like what we want," kind of thing.
Well, no, they don't do that. They don't. We'll kill you. It's we'll kill somebody you love.
Yeah, there's no point in threatening the person because then they get all noble and like self-sacrificing and you don't do that.
I guess Epstein put up his $77 million mansion in the Upper East Side and one of his planes as a bond to get released from jail, and the judge was like, "No, fuck you."
Yeah, because he's such a billionaire, he's still technically a flight risk.
Oh, he's absolutely a flight risk. He owns his own fucking island, for God's sake.
But not only that, he's an Israeli citizen. So it's like if you can get back to Israel, they have no extradition treaties with anybody.
Right.
Yeah. So you're safe once.
Oh
you
yeah,
get
he wouldn't go to his island because it's part of the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
So technically, it's U.S. territory.
Yeah.
Well, he might go to pick up a traveling partner.
Yeah.
Or three.
Yeah. Yep.
The whole thing is fucking crazy. That could open up a whole can of worms that could bring down the entire U.S. government.
Bunch of sick
but we're at time now. We're at time. We're past. Yeah, we're past time. So
we're never boring though, so it's okay.
Right. True.
Well, I am
tired.
You guys.
You're not boring either, Jason.
Aw.
Look at your glittering circle of friends. You must be an interesting guy.
Right?
Or I'm on a watch list. Thank you guys.
Right. Oh, we're all on watch lists. Let's just be honest.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
I think they
if
created
you're not doing your job.
Just for some of us.
Yeah.
God, I so fucking hope I have a watch list named after me.
Yeah, like
that.
Maybe they have like
Anarchy feather in the cap.
Yeah, maybe they have like a specific Anarchy Among Friends watch list, and it's like
they probably have a file on our show.
It's like us and like
there was.
I hope they watch it. I hope they watch every fucking minute of it. Maybe they'll learn something.
Well, Liberty Attack was named an FBI file, and I did do shows for them, so it's possible. So
we're likely.
Plus military intelligence, plus Andrew's background, plus Kevin was on and Kevin's background, and plus fucking Dan. I mean,
I'm just pointing out. I used to like flying in a plane, and now I don't know if it's worth trying to spend any money on that because I don't think they're gonna let me on one.
I sure hope they let me on.
The watch list is different from the no-fly list, so.
I'm pretty sure I'm also on probably a couple no-fly lists.
I'm pretty sure the only reason I'm on a no-fly list is because you're on no-fly lists.
You're on a no-fly list because you would enjoy the pat down.
Because I wouldn't
joke around and say that like if she hadn't gotten any in a while, that she'd go on a flight so she can get felt up by the TSA.
You know what, Daddy?
Yeah,
it wouldn't even matter who searched me. I'd totally make them uncomfortable.
That's
start doing like the orgasm moan from When Harry Met Sally. Start doing that one.
Oh, my favorite thing to do when I get the pat down is to just look the guy directly in the eyes and go, harder, daddy.
Dude, me and John June went to a Trump rally before he got elected as president when he was here in Albany, and we just went to just observe, and it was like total spectacle of fucking almost brainwashed mass of I don't know, almost like herd poisoning like Huxley talked about. But anyway, I was wearing my 1984 Big Brother is Watching You shirt, and it had the three lines, what is it? Freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength, whatever. War is peace. So I'm going through the TSA checkpoint, making jokes with John about how they'd never caught a terrorist and shit. It was fucking great, dude.
Nice.
You can't say bomb in an airplane. I just did. Bomb, 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 bomb.
La Bamba.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. You just got to moan the whole time. Just moan just slightly the whole time. And they will get so uncomfortable and just be like, all right, please just go away. God.
No, we need to get practice making me blush, because that way I can moan and then blush as though I'm embarrassed about it.
Bite your lower lip and make eyes at them.
Overhead luggage contains handcuffs and paddles.
Yeah.
You're not that stupid. Come on now.
Oh, you got to have at least one like 12.5-inch long, like fist width dildo.
With the blue line.
Jeez.
Oh my god.
I'm just thinking we need to start walking through those metal detectors with vibrators up inside us and see what they want to do about it. Just saying.
Yeah.
You can. I'm
Oh,
good.
Anarchy Among Friends after dark.
Yes. Behind the brown paper wrapper.
Mom, I hope you're not watching anymore.
Because that would embarrass you even more. Hi, Mom.
All right, I gotta go. I gotta get kids to bed, and I didn't sleep well last night. I'm baby.
So, all right. On that note, this has been episode 67.
Yeah.
Something like that. So,
Don't forget to send us weird sex laws.
we
for
haven't
episode
received
69.
a single fucking sex law, people. Come on now.
Come on.
Fail. If
I'll
you guys,
make a meme and put it up on the Facebook page, and we can all
There you
share
go.
it.
I'll start doing research. I'm sure I'll find a bunch of them. I actually think somewhere running around, I actually have a book. So I gotta see if I can find it.
Okay.
The good Lord can't do all the work.
Right.
He helps those who help themselves.
Exactly.
yeah.
I think that's against the
Other
law.
people
Actually.
throw you in a cage for the doing that. It's just, I am
Yeah.
not allowed back to choose.
Where's the done on that?
Yeah. For real.
Am I slacking in my duties now?
You have been this whole show.
Fail.
Thank
There
you.
go. On that note.
Yes.
Yeah. On that note, we'll catch you next time. Peace.
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 Yep.